Hello, my name is Natalie Binkley. Today, I'm going to be discussing global stratification and how it plays into the classification of economics. Let's jump right into this. Table of contents slide. This is my table of contents slide. The first topic in today's discussion is global stratification, classification in economics, next, the classes in economics, and finally a conclusion to sum it all up. What is global stratification? Imagine being born in a country where access to clean water, education, healthcare is a daily struggle, while someone else, born in another part of the world, grows up with all these things taken for granted. Why do such massive differences exist? Today we're going to explore a global stratification and what it is and how it is affecting us. Global stratification is the unequal distribution of power and other things. Global stratification is seen as good by some, but bad by others. Global stratification causes people to feel dehumanized, with these feelings that they have no need in the world. Wow, this is so terrible and awful. What does global stratification affect? Global stratification has a negative impact on many different things. These things include human development, mortality rates, ability to get clean food and water, education, and even genderization, especially in women. To sum this over, global stratification has a dehumanizing effect and leads people to believe and feel as if they have no need to move up in the economic ladder. These negative effects can leave people discouraged and hurt. This is a truly awful thing that happens all the time. Global stratification really does have a harsh effect. What is the classification in economics? A definition of what classification in economics means to me is a way of grouping people, businesses, or countries based on their income, wealth, or economic activity. This, in turn, means that it is a way to put people in groups based on different factors. Economic classification helps us to compare and contrast the difference between how much money or resources different groups have. So this means it plays into the economic inequality by showing who has more or less. For example, how the rich are getting richer while the poor stay the same or get poorer. For the third section, we will discuss what are the economic classes. There are three classes: poverty, middle, and upper class. Let's start out with discussing what poverty class is. As said on the screen, poverty is defined as the condition of not having enough income or resources to meet basic needs, such as food, shelter, healthcare, or clothing. To be considered in poverty, you must be making less than $30,000 and not be able to afford basic necessities. An example of someone who of this economic status would be someone who possibly works as a fast food worker or gas station clerk. Next is middle class. Middle class is a very, very broad category. With the income ranging between $30,000 to $150,000 per year, you might understand why this is so broad. The definition of this class, as seen on the screen, is a social and economic group typically characterized by the moderate income, education, and occupational status. An example of someone who might have this be in this class, a job, would be a school teacher to a civil engineer. Wow, that is very different. Lastly is the highest class of them all, upper class. Upper class is the highest social group with relatively the highest amount of power and say in the things such as politics. This class also has a high income and a large abundance of assets. This class also is a rough estimation of income ranging above $150,000 per year. Wow, these classes are truly interesting. With all these facts, you can see why these classes have such a big role in all these different things, with the upper class being so high. Next, let's take a deeper look into poverty class. Let's see why it's so hard to move out of this class. Getting out of this class is so hard due to how much stuff costs nowadays. To get a higher or better education, it costs money, and a large sum of money as well. With being born into poverty, it is even harder to get out of this. This is the case over half the time. Overall, the way to get out of poverty is often to start with stable employment, gaining skills or education that helps you move up, and accessing support like affordable housing or childcare. Through these things, it is possible to move up. Even though it seems very hard, getting past poverty is real. Now moving to the middle class. We can take a deeper look to all of these, to this class. Middle class is the hardest class to move out of, while also being the biggest class. This class has a large range of people inside it for many different reasons. First reason is that the basic cost of everything is now only rising. This in turn is making it harder day by day to live, not to mention trying to move up the class scale. Next is the lack of education inside this class. While cost of living today is so hard to afford, it only makes it harder to get a good education that is worthwhile achieving. This class by far is the largest class and the hardest to move up in because it's so broad and they're faced with so many different setbacks. Wow, being in the middle class is really hard, and many Americans have the largest population of people in the middle class. The upper class is considered to be the highest of highs and the greatest accomplishment. While this class is what everyone aims for, it is not what it looks out to be. A large sum of those who are in this class were welcomed in by already having money to their name. This could be from having money from past generations and such. The biggest struggle from this class is complex tax systems, the management of privacy, not to forget all the financial burdens they have. Everyone wants to be wealthy, yet it still has its downsides and still is a struggle. Every class is difficult, not one harder than the other. They just have different struggles between the different problems. Global stratification, classification in economics, and the classes in economics were the three main talking points of this presentation. After presenting all the information, let's put it together and answer the question. How does global stratification play into the role of economics? After hearing all this information, you're probably asking, where is this going, and how do we connect all the dots? The limitations of opportunity, power, and the lack of social mobility is all due to global stratification, and this happens when economics comes into play. Limited opportunities are faced in the lower and middle classes. This brings down the want to do more and climb. This makes moving up the chain seamlessly impossible. Limited power is something that only comes really to the small classes, while it still can come to the others, mainly the smaller classes. People in these classes feel as if they do not have any say or opinion to their matter. The lack of social mobility comes to every single class, every single person. Like said in the presentation, no matter where you are in the economic chain, people treat you badly. If you're at the top, everybody wants something. If you're at the bottom, people act like you're worth nothing. All of this is due to a big term called global stratification. Adding these points all together, you can see why it is so hard to move up and want to move up in the world. The classes in economics are hard for so many different reasons. Each class has its own problem. With limited opportunities, limited power, and the lack of social mobility, it is all hard. Global stratification creates unequal distribution to many different things. This creates a hard discouragement to those trying to move up in the world. In conclusion, global stratification has a negative impact on the classification of economics. Wow, this is really deep and hard to understand if you don't see why global stratification is so deep. To conclude this, I would like to thank all of these resources for making this possible. After deep research and reading of all these different pages, it helps me to understand these deep topics. I would like to say a special thanks for Slides Mania for having such awesome free templates to use. Thank you so much to all of these different resources, and these articles that were written by all these different authors were very awesome and had some very nice points. Thank you all so very much.